Okay. Hello and welcome back to LV Bridges the Gap. This week we are doing my final project, which is a two-part video series based on my online course that I created through HackCMS. And I specifically did human-computer interaction with websites. This is something that I didn't get to learn in my design class because we focused more on applications through either Android or iOS. So I think it'll be really cool to show other people how interacting with a website can be a little bit different, and then how some aspects can be the same. So specifically, I want to say why my resource that I created over a publisher is better. So I think that this is better because um, basically, whenever you learn, it's easier to learn from your peers and other students. So I think that's really helpful. But I also think that the amount of resources that I used is something that creates a lot of variety. So I used different websites, I used a book, and then I also used some things that my professor did teach us about website design. So I think like the mixture of all of these resources is why it would be better to use this as an OER over something that was published. And an OER is something that's open on the website, so anybody can really interact with this. So going back, how to demonstrate that it is easy to create and modify. So I, with this question in mind, wanted to go to my Test Your Knowledge tab. So this specifically brings you to a website where it will test your knowledge about web design. So as you see here, there's a lot of questions and we can see different answers. So things like this can show you how to test your knowledge. But something that I think is really cool that stands out from Hack CMS is that you can also create your own questions through the thing. So say I wanted to add a question on my hacks page. Let me just get to it. Just keep coming back. So again, going back here. So if I click edit page and then create an element, I can actually create a multiple choice question. So say I wanted to say, what is web design? And then let's just say I have a few answers. So definition, and then just for the sake of time, I'm going to say wrong. And then definition. So then I could configure this and update it, and then I can actually have this right in here. So it can say what I did wrong or right, and it's just really nice to be able to have a platform where you can add a question within it or go to another link without it. So I think this is something that I really like about Hack CMS and how you can create and modify it. And then identify open resources that I've used to help create my resource. So I think what was really cool is that I actually created my own definition along with a few other like resources to come up with what human-computer interaction is. But then I also used a link to a YouTube video that is from Stanford that can teach you about human-computer interaction. And I think it's really cool that you can use YouTube as something that can be an OER, but then there's also things like Khan Academy, and there's just a lot of different resources that are open to all people. I think that this is a big advantage of technology with learning, is that it's open to everybody. So the more inclined you feel to learn about something, you can always do so, which is kind of what we did here in this lesson. And then finally, identify resources at Penn State that faculty can leverage to produce more OER. So I think that this is definitely something that a lot of professors lack at Penn State. Usually everything's kind of stuck in Canvas, which is great for Penn State students if you're enrolled in a course, but it doesn't really allow other people to learn from what you're teaching. So I think by using something like HackCMS or things like Adobe that you could add online is something that can be really beneficial as an OER. So this is why I think that my specific website would really be able to help students. And I think that human-computer interaction with websites specifically too, it kind of relates back to my identity is LV Bridges the Gap. Um, it's definitely something that contains a lot of users and computers, which is really what we need to bridge the gap. So that's all I'm going to share for video number one, and you guys can tune back into video number two soon.